My name is Elena Vance. I am 46 years old. For the past 20 years, I have worked as an emergency rescue responder. 2 decades spent standing face to face with the thin line between life and death for thousands of people. I pulled victims from the wreckage of violent accidents with my own hands, witnessed final breaths fade into silence, and listened to last words soaked in tears. As a medical professional, I believed only in science, heart monitors, and real-world resuscitation techniques. The supernatural never had a place in my vocabulary. But behind the professional uniform was a secret I had always hidden. My soul had been shattered for a long time. 20 years of accumulated tragedy pushed me into severe depression, and worse than the trauma was the loneliness that greeted me after every shift, filled with blood and grief, an empty house, with no one waiting to listen, no one to share the weight. My family was no longer there. Or maybe it was the darkness inside me that drove the people I loved the most far away. I had spent my entire life saving others, but when I finally collapsed, there was no one left to save me. To survive the pain, I began abusing painkillers to numb my emotions. Every night, I sat alone with bottles of pills spread across the table, feeling abandoned by life and completely lost. I was like an ambulance with a dead engine built to rescue others, but powerless to rescue itself. On that fateful day, I decided to take a hike into the depths of Linville Gorge. It wasn't a trip for pleasure, it was a desperate escape. I wanted to run from the haunting sirens, from the addiction, and from myself. Before I tell you what happened at the bottom of that canyon, I want to connect with you. Leave the name of your city in the comments below. Your presence here is not an accident. What you are about to hear may be the very key you have been searching for. I once believed that fall was the end, but in truth, it marked the beginning of an entirely new timeline for all of us. That morning, just as I was making my way down the cliff face, everything went wrong. My foot slipped on a patch of wet moss in Linville Gorge. I fell freely for nearly 60 feet into the ravine. The sharp crack of bones breaking echoed as my body slammed into the rocks beside the dried lake bed. My pelvis shattered, my left lung completely collapsed. I tried to draw a breath, but all I tasted was hot metal and blood, with a grinding hiss tearing through my chest. I lay there for 8 hours, suspended between life and death, and when the last warmth drained from my body, something extraordinary happened. My consciousness suddenly separated from my flesh. I found myself hovering above, looking down at a woman twisted on the stones, her face pale and lifeless. I felt no fear, only lightness, freedom. The pain vanished completely. In its place came a release I had never known in 46 years of being human. Then the space around me began to transform. A panoramic screen unfolded in every direction. This was the replay of my life. I saw myself as a child. I saw the moments I snapped at my parents. I saw myself injecting painkillers into my veins to escape reality. I watched the times I worked, carelessly, brushing past patients suffering because I was exhausted or high on medication. There was no God seated on a throne, judging or punishing me, but I understood with crushing clarity that I had lived out of alignment with my original purpose. I had created unconsciousness and suffering in the world. Regret closed around my soul, not from fear of punishment, but from realizing I had wasted the power of being human. The moment full awareness hit me, a white light appeared. It wasn't blinding, it was warm, like arms wrapping around me. This was the source, God. Pure consciousness. Information began downloading into my mind at an overwhelming speed. A voice spoke not through sound, but through the core of my being. It said, "Elena, what do you see?" I answered, "I see the truth. I see that we are not separate. I see that everything I ever did is connected to everyone else." The light intensified. "Yes, but Earth is trapped in a long sleep. People like you Those who have touched the edge of death must bring the message back. Humanity is approaching a convergence point. A door is about to open. I begged, I don't want to go back. The body down there is broken. The life down there is too heavy. Let me stay here. The voice became firm, filled with authority. You are not permitted to stay. Why were you trained for 20 years in emergency rescue? To walk away now while millions of souls are suffocating in ignorance? You understand addiction. You understand depression. You are the exact channel I need. I fell silent. The light began forming numbers and glowing dates, burning like fire across the space. The voice continued, listen and remember, from the 16th to the 21st of November, those 6 days are my window. During that time, the veil of reality will tear open. You must warn them so they can prepare. The elders will awaken first. They will see what you see. They will hear what you hear. Do not let them be afraid. Tell them this is the great reversal. I asked, how will they believe me? They will call me insane. They will try to silence me. The light wrapped around me as a surge of power poured into my soul. The system will resist you. Science will attempt to explain you away with empty terminology. Governments will fear this awakening because they cannot control those who no longer live in fear. But you will be given physical anchors as proof. Your body temperature will change. Your senses will pierce through reality. And most importantly, miracles will erupt simultaneously across the globe to confirm your words. South Korea, Brazil, France, all will witness signs within that exact time window. The light extended a hand toward me, a hand made of pure radiance. You will lose ordinary physical pleasures. Your sense of taste will fade, so you are no longer ruled by bodily desire. In return, you will see the aura of truth surrounding all things. Now go back. Warn them. The 16th of November is approaching. Do not let the door close while they are still asleep. A powerful force yanked me downward. I felt myself rushing through clouds, through the treetops of Linville Gorge. Just before my consciousness slammed back into my cold, broken body, the timeline map was still blazing inside my mind. I was forced to remember. I was forced to tell it. What I am about to share is not a guess, not a feeling, not a vague intuition. It is a block of information that was poured directly into my consciousness while I was suspended inside that white light. It was as clear as a digital map, precise down to exact dates and locations. The divine wanted this engraved into me. A spiritual window is opening for humanity. Remember these 6 days with absolute clarity from the 16th to the 21st of November. In the realm of light, I saw those days blazing like a massive energy convergence point. This is not a weather forecast or a political prediction. This is the soul convergence point. I was shown that during this period, the veil between physical reality and the spiritual realm will thin to its absolute limit. This is when awakening energy will pour onto earth at its strongest level. If you have been seeking change, answers, or healing, these 6 days are the one door you cannot afford to miss. I saw what will unfold in those 6 days. It will not happen quietly. It will erupt. In the city of Charlotte, I saw an elderly woman named Martha, 88 years old. She had been bedridden in a nursing home for 5 years after suffering the effects of a stroke. But on the morning of November 16th, in front of stunned nurses, Martha suddenly sat upright. Her legs, once wasted away, touched the floor. She took her first steady steps and began to speak, not broken sounds, but a clear voice describing the light she had seen in her dreams. At the very same moment, inside an old wooden church in rural Georgia, I saw a group of 12 elders in prayer. A warm presence flooded the room. All 12 dropped to their knees, tears streaming down their faces. They shared a single vision of a golden rain of salvation, tiny particles of light falling over cities, slipping into homes, healing souls that had dried up inside. The most profound scenes unfolded in hospice wards. Patients who had been in deep comas suddenly awakened. They did not ask for medication. They asked only to see their children and grandchildren one last time. Holding their loved ones' hands, they delivered one message: love is everything. Do not be afraid. We are one. After releasing that revelation, they passed away in a state of peace and radiance no medical science could explain. The revelation does not end with those 6 days. It is the beginning of a domino chain of awakening. By December of this year, I saw a wave of repentance sweep through communities. Those who once lived in darkness, those who caused pain, suddenly felt an unstoppable urge to make things right. In rehabilitation centres, something unprecedented happened. Recovery rates surged to near total levels. Cravings vanished, replaced by a hunger for purpose. By February of the following year, rigid religious barriers began to collapse. People stopped arguing over who was right and who was wrong. Spontaneous awakening groups formed in parks and coffee shops, gathering simply to talk about unity. By June of the following year, pressure from authorities intensified. Intelligence agencies and scientific institutions quietly began collecting data on the phenomena that began on November 16th. They attempted to reduce everything to brainwaves and sound frequencies, stripping the sacred meaning from the revelation. And by the fall of the following year, a major economic shift began. People realized that hoarding personal wealth no longer made sense when their neighbours were starving. A sharing-based system, what I call the economy of oneness, started forming from the smallest communities. But do not be deceived. This path will not be covered in roses. The old system will fight back. I saw myself in the near future, standing in a sterile white hospital room. A doctor with a cold face handed me a document and forced me to sign it, declaring that everything I experienced was nothing more than post-traumatic mental disorder. They threatened to revoke my emergency medical license if I continued speaking about the November 16th time window. On social media, smear campaigns exploded. Fake accounts labelled me a manipulator, someone exploiting faith for profit. Mainstream media aired warnings about mass hallucinations. I even saw myself interrogated by a security unit seated in a dim room while rapid-fire questions accused me of inciting social unrest. They fear this awakening because once humanity realizes it is one, people can no longer be controlled through fear or division. This revelation is not only for America. It is global. In Seoul, South Korea, I saw thousands of young people kneeling in busy streets, not in political protest, but apologizing to their parents and grandparents for years of indifference. The arrogance of youth melted under the heat of awakening. In the Amazon rainforest of Brazil, tribal elders gathered for the largest ceremony in their history. Massive fires were lit to welcome the light being. They said they had waited centuries for this moment, at the exact time window I had been shown. And in Paris, France, precisely at 3 a.m. on November 21st, the bells of Notre Dame Cathedral rang out. No one stood in the tower. No physical force moved them. The sound rolled across the city like a final confirmation of the divine presence. This is the most shocking part of the revelation, a complete reversal of positions. I saw powerful CEOs, the men who control the world's economic destiny, quietly entering remote nursing homes. They sat at the feet of frail elders, people society once labelled as burdens, seeking wisdom and peace that billions of dollars could never buy. And I want to speak directly to those who feel pushed aside because of age. Lift your heads. In the realm of light, I saw you shining brighter than anyone else. Your wrinkles and grey hair are not signs of decline. They are marks of wisdom chosen by God. You are not a burden. You are the last lighthouses still calm enough to guide humanity through this storm. The elderly, the poor, and the forgotten will suddenly become light warriors because you have nothing left to lose. Your souls are empty enough to hold the immense energy pouring through the time window. You will become the central force, the ones who stabilize humanity's frequency as the old world begins to shake. Listen to me. Time is short. You must prepare for the period from November 16th to November 21st. This is not the moment for doubt. This is the moment for action. If you truly love your parents or grandparents, share this message with them immediately. They are the ones who will receive the revelation first. Right now, comment the words, "I am ready for November 16th," along with the name of your city. This is not just a social media action. It is a spiritual confirmation linking you into the global awakening network I was shown. We are not allowed to enter this time window alone. We must walk through it together. I snapped back into my body with a violent electric shock ripping up my spine. Air crashed into my lungs, icy, burning like thousands of shards of broken glass tearing through my chest. I let out a dry, broken gasp. When my eyes opened, the blinding white light was gone. In its place was the grey sky of Linville Gorge and a sweat-soaked face staring straight down at me. It was Mark, a firefighter, who happened to be off duty. No rescue gear, no team, just him. Mark later told me that while walking nearly 2 miles away, a sudden, overwhelming pull, a kind of instinct he had never felt before, forced him to turn down an old trail and climb directly to the exact spot where I lay. In a place where phone signals were completely dead, he found me moments before my body gave up. When I was rushed into the emergency room, I became a mystery to the entire medical staff. Nurses stared at the monitors, switching out 3 different thermometers because they believed the machines were broken. My body temperature held steady at 34 degrees Celsius. According to medical science, at that temperature, a normal person would be in severe hypothermia, shaking, confused, slipping toward organ failure. But I wasn't. I was fully conscious. My heart rate was stable, and inside my chest flowed a warm, circulating heat. For the next 8 months of recovery, 34 degrees Celsius became my new physical constant. Top specialists were brought in. They ran every test imaginable and in the end could only shake their heads in disbelief. I was no longer living by the standard biological rules of the human body. To prove what I was seeing wasn't a concussion-induced hallucination, I performed a test right there in my hospital bed. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Dr. Miller was examining the damage to my pelvis. I glanced at the clock and said, "Doctor, at exactly 2:14 this afternoon, the power substation behind the hospital will explode. This entire wing will go dark for 10 seconds before the backup generators come online." Miller smiled politely, assuming it was medication talking. But the moment the minute hand hit 14, a thunderous blast shook the windows. The lights died. Everything unfolded down to the second, as if I were reading from a pre-written script. The silence afterward was so heavy you could hear Miller's breathing. The price of opening new senses was paid in the body. I completely lost my sense of taste. Every meal, no matter how rich now, felt like dry ash in my mouth. Sweet fruit, salty food, all of it vanished. But in exchange, reality was no longer flat. I began seeing layers of light surrounding every living being. I saw glowing threads connecting nurses to patients. I saw currents of radiant energy flowing through the air itself. At times, the revealed reality pressed so hard against the physical world that I witnessed vast light structures rising inside the cramped hospital room. I now live in overlapping dimensions, a world where the veil has been permanently torn away. My life is no longer what it was, and neither is yours, whether you realize it yet or not. I stand here today no longer as a rescue worker carrying the weight of tragedy, but as a witness to what real life truly is. The pain 60 feet below the canyon floor and the years of depression were not punishment. They were painful healing, stripping away the false self and returning me to my original essence. If you are suffering right now, understand this pain is the crack where revealed light enters. The betrayal and rejection from the old system, the ones who want to label us as mentally unstable, are not defeats. They are confirmation of the power of awakening. We do not need validation from structures that are already collapsing. The revelation of the 6 days from November 16th to November 21st is not a threat. It is a source of strength to rise above material fear. When you connect with the divine, you realize true power already lives within you. We are powerful spiritual beings sent here to guide humanity through the darkness. Now I invite you to take your first step into awakening. If you recognize the truth in these words, make a commitment right now. Comment the words, "I am awake," or "Jesus is Lord." This is the act of claiming your position with the light. This mission is not mine alone. I was saved to bring this message to you, and now you are the one carrying the rescue forward. Share this video as a real act of saving lives. Send it to the elderly who feel alone, to those who feel lost, or to anyone trapped in darkness. One click from you could rescue a soul standing on the edge of despair. Before we close, declare this powerful affirmation over your life. I declare complete freedom from every chain of fear and anxiety. I am fully protected by the power of the divine. The light of truth is guiding me through every shift of reality. I am strong. I am awake. I am connected to the eternal source of life. No darkness can enter my home or my soul. I am ready to step into the November 16th time window with peace and absolute authority. Always remember this, you are never alone. We are one. Peace and light are always with you. Goodbye for now, and I will see you in the next revelations.